Hi, I'm Ross with Sky Management, and at some of our properties we have fitness centers like this one. We service our equipment quarterly. It's important to keep everything lubricated and working the way it's supposed to, and when we were doing that this time, we found that this elliptical machine doesn't have any resistance to it at all, and when you spin it around, it doesn't start up the panel and work like it's supposed to. So before we take the panel and everything apart, since there's no resistance on it, it's probably the belt that's in the back of this. So let's open up the back of it and have a look at the belt. The elliptical machine that we have that we're going to take apart is a TRUE Z8 model. Most elliptical machines work the same way. There's a belt that the pedals spin a large wheel that'll spin a smaller wheel that powers the machine, and there's a belt between the two. So you remove the screws all around the outside of this so that you can open it up, and you'll see in here, there's the belt, or was the belt. This is the belt that was supposed to spin this wheel, and the weighted wheel down here, this is where you get your resistance, and it also powers the machine by spinning the wheel around. It's like magnets and powers it. So the belt will need to be replaced because this one is obviously broken. So you can order these, depending on the model of your machine, you can order these on Amazon. We will put the link down below to the belt that we will order so that you can start with that one. If you have a TRUE Elliptical, then it'll probably be the same belts, but be sure and check the specs. We removed the outside casing. There are two wheels that the belt goes on in here. The problem is you pretty much have to take the entire thing apart to get the belt on there because there's no way to get it around the wheels without just completely removing them. So we're going to take the weighted one off the back first. For this TRUE brand, once we loosened all these up, there's one screw that was down here. And then this whole back unit slides out. We're just going to kind of let it set here. And then we'll have to remove the 3 screws on each side to get this part off. And then that will let the wheel come out where we can get the belt around it. With the screws removed from here, that wheel should slide right out of there and be a separate piece. So this is the little trick that we do that is going to make this where we can get it off of here without having to have this special tool that no one possesses. So what we're going to do is drill a little hole in the arm here so that we can get to the set screws that are behind it. So we've marked on this arm where the set screws are, and we're going to put a little hole in it. Then with the hole in it, you can reach through the hole with the Allen wrench and get to those set screws that are back behind there. With all the set screws removed, this wheel should lift right out of there. You take your belt, we'll put the belt around the wheel, and then put this wheel right back in there. And we're ready to start the entire process in reverse. Once you have the big wheel mounted in place and tightened on, pull the belts off to the side so that it's just on the axle, so you can get the belts around this axle on the back one. Then the back wheel will slide back into the housing. Like so. Then we had 3 screws on each side, so we're going to put those 3 screws back in each side to hold it into this. And then the whole thing will slide back up in there like so. The next step is to get the belt onto the big wheel. So you want to have your tensioners, these are the belt tensioning pieces right here, have them loosened up all the way so that this wheel can shove in all the way forward as far as it'll go. Then you line the belt up in the grooves and make sure it's in the grooves on the bottom side. And you just start to spin it. And it'll kind of pull itself in there. Okay, now the belt is on there where it needs to go, but we're gonna wanna tighten it up from where it is so that this belt is nice and tight. Tightening the tensioner will pull the axle piece back. And once we get it tight where we want it, we'll tighten up this nut right here. And there's one of those on each side. When you got the belt all tightened up, there's this little wire that goes into the side of the motor. So we're gonna go ahead and plug that in. And then once we spin this, the machine should come on. Now that the machine is back together and working, all we have to do is put all the housing back on and poke the pedals back on, and it should be good to go. So let's do it. The housing's all back on. Our last step is going to be to put the pedals back on. The pedal piece slides over the end of this peg, and there's a little clip that was on the outside of this, if you remember taking those off earlier. On top of the part that spins goes the big washer, and then the pedal, and then the little washer. And then the nut. I'm gonna get these pretty tight. Then this housing piece will go on there, like so. This one's gonna be a little bit tricky to get on there with the screws because you gotta get it lined up just right. But it'll go on there like that. And then we should be set. Everything seems to be running fine now, so that's how you replace the belt on a TRUE elliptical machine.